what you think the difference is between a home and a house.
And I think the biggest difference is your home is filled with peace and filled with love and filled with safety.
We 2025, we
Sure.
said, please make your house a home. I don't care if you got the Versace pillows on your couch or not. You can run over there to IKEA
Yes.
and get some throw pillows for
Yes.
$8.99. I would
IKEA,
rather
that's
see.
right. Stop playing.
I would
IKEA.
rather see
Yes.
some $8.99 throw pillows
Yes.
in a home
Yes.
than some Versace throw pillows in a house.
Right. Welcome to With Love, the Chambers.
Where life, laughter, and lasting lessons meet.
We're the Chambers, a husband and wife navigating faith, family, and everything in between.
Here we share real stories, heartfelt conversations, and a whole lot of love. Because life isn't perfect, but God's grace sure is.
So pull up a seat, grab a cup of coffee, or go ahead and sip that tea, and join us for honest talks, laughs, and the wisdom we're learning along the way. This is With Love, the Chambers.
This episode of With Love, the Chambers is proudly sponsored by the Watts of Power Foundation, where passion and purpose come together to empower the next generation. In the heart of Los Angeles, one foundation is changing the future of education. The Watts of Power Foundation, founded by Dr. Peter Watts Jr., is on a mission to raise up the next generation of Black male educators, building strong teachers, strong families, and strong communities. Through mentorship, housing, and holistic support, Watts of Power is lighting the path toward equity in education. Visit wattsofpowerfoundation.org to learn how you can help power the change. The Watts of Power Foundation, where teaching meets transformation. A big thank you to Watts of Power for supporting this episode of With Love, the Chambers. And now, back to your regularly scheduled show.
Welcome back, friends and family, to another episode of With Love, the Chambers. My name is Rufus Chambers, and I'm here with my lovely wife, Jamila, and we just want to welcome you to another very, very special episode. As always, we just want to give you a great big God bless you, and thank you for continuing to watch, to tune in, to like, to comment, to subscribe, to share. We are just so amazed at the amount of support that we have gotten thus far. And with your help, we're reaching a wider audience, a larger audience. So we just want to say thank you for your continued support in helping us get to now. This is episode number 31. So excited that you guys have been, many of you have been with us since the very beginning. And here we are. We're going to continue to press forward, push forward, and continue to try and curate conversations that add value to your life, that give you something to listen to watch, and to unpack with those that you love. So with that, I'm just going to greet my lovely wife, Jamila. How are you doing today?
Oh, it's fantastic, fantastic. So good to be back in our living room, back in our conversation.
Come on.
For another conversation with you and with our
Absolutely.
audience as a part of With Love the Chambers. Thank you all, as Rufus mentioned, for listening, for liking, for subscribing. Thank you to the Watts of Power Foundation.
Come on now.
Again, for your sponsorship and for any of you that desire to sow into this vision, to sponsor an episode or two or months worth, if you prefer. There's some information available, link in our bio about how you can go about doing that. And we thank you so much for all you've done to contribute to this conversation as we've been on the journey. So good to be back.
Absolutely.
So good to be back.
In the home,
Yes.
at the house.
Yes.
How are you enjoying this experience, being at home versus being in the studio?
You know, it's interesting. Our conversations are a little bit more unfiltered, I think.
Okay.
Oh, because when you go into a podcast space and podcast studio, you know, there is that feeling that you got to put on your business cap a little bit, put on that corporate cap a little bit. And so for our listeners, any episode that you have heard of us audio only has been at home, recorded at home. And these last couple of episodes that you see us in this space have been the episodes that we have filmed in our conversation room. This used to be our dining room.
It used to be.
It used to be our dining room.
Had to repurpose it.
And we repurposed that thing. I don't know about y'all, but we only used the dining room like twice a year.
Maybe.
And and we had this huge table in this space.
You had
and
to stand up to
oh
let
my
somebody
goodness.
walk around the table.
Oh, we had a hutch and it was one of those huge dining room tables that had the leaves and the pieces.
Yeah, because
and
all about that set when we had a much bigger home.
Yes,
Let's just tell it like it
yes,
TI is.
like
right?
it really is.
That's what we're
But
suburban living.
yes. But when we got to our urban living, when we got to the conversation room off Crenshaw, which is really what it is.
Exactly. Where they have racks in the middle. Right?
They ride around
The
in the Z12
the space
with the racks in the middle. Yes.
So different.
Gotta pray to Almighty God.
That's
Okay,
right.
there you
That's
go.
right.
So
That's
being in
right.
this space, we
Yeah.
did repurpose this space. And one of the things that we wanted to do was have a space in our home for conversation.
Yeah.
This space doesn't have a television, and we wanted to be able to sit with our friends and family and really, really have some great discussions. And it's been wonderful, honestly, to record them.
Yeah.
Because hit the chat if you've been in the conversation room. This is a true space. I'm gonna say it's
Yeah.
several folks of our friends and our family members that have sat in this
Yeah.
space. And we have utilized this space for this very thing. So it's been nice to be able to share it with our
Absolutely.
with love family.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So let's get into today's conversation. And really, this conversation is inspired by us literally being at home.
Doom, doom, doom,
And
doom, doom.
come on.
We should get Willow to do it.
And let's borrow your term. Many adolescent seniors,
Yes.
are very familiar with the historic song that was recorded by Luther Vandross.
Yes.
That was released in 1981. A house
Yes.
is not a home. And it is such a beautiful song. And
Cover of Dionne Warwick's song.
Hers didn't hit like
Hers didn't hit like this. Let's be clear.
Let's put some respect on the brother's name now.
We will. But we're gonna go to the origin story, and we gotta go. Y'all check YouTube and watch Luther sing it for Dionne.
Oh yeah.
Yes, that was it was the award show. It was oh my goodness. She knew what it was. She knew it wasn't her song anymore after Luther got to it, but yes, we know that song.
Yeah. And Luther Vandross, I mean, when you think about his contribution
Yes.
To our childhoods, to our upbringing, and recording some historic love songs, historic wedding songs. And we often talk about it, how some of those songs helped frame our aspirations for relationships and marriages. We would recite those words and we would, recite those songs. And, I remember back in the day, I'm singing on the phone, with a song.
Writing the lyrics out.
All of that.
And your scented markers and your colored pens. Yeah.
Absolutely. So as we sit in our home
Yes.
and we revisit the song, A House Is Not a Home, I think about the difference between a house and an actual home. And, we've been in this home for 12 years. No, over 12 years.
Absolutely.
And actually this is the house that we've lived in the longest since we have been together.
Yes.
Which is a whole nother conversation.
This is the house I've lived in the longest in my entire life.
Oh, that's deep.
This
is perfect to have this conversation.
Yes.
So just to kind of kick us off, share with me what you think the difference is between a home and a house. Or are they the same thing?
No, absolutely different. I think the biggest difference is your home is filled with peace and filled with love and filled with safety.
Mm.
So, as with anything, and I think that was what the songwriter was trying to make the distinction about,
Mhm.
why we wanted to have this conversation, that you
Yeah.
can have the framework and the foundation and the walls and the paint and the
Yeah.
flooring and all of those things
Mhm.
anywhere.
Yeah.
But when you get behind those closed doors, does it feel like a place where you can lay your head in peace,
Yeah.
where you can be vulnerable,
Mm.
where you can dream,
Yeah.
where you can just really feel safe and secure? And that has everything to do with the people that are there.
That's good.
That has
That's
everything to
good.
do with the relationships that are there.
Yeah.
And I think that proverbial house
Mm.
could be talking about a physical place, and that's one dimension of it, but even the house of your marriage and the house of your relationship and all those things. So for sure, as I think and define the difference between a house and a home,
Mhm.
those are some of the things that come top of mind for sure.
That's good.
What
That's
about
good.
you as you were pulling this topic together? Why
Yeah.
was it so important? And
Well, I think that, I think we've shared on this platform before, how we earnestly feel that marriages and families are facing tremendous resistance, resistance from within and resistance from without. That having a home with a family is not something that is common as it was when we were children.
sure.
And when I think about, husbands and wives, marriages and families, I feel like we all need to reach towards making sure your house is a home. And it's not necessarily about decoration.
Sure.
It's not about feng shui. It's not about having a smart home per se. It's about, like you said, how the house is furnished
Mhm.
with goodness,
Mhm.
how it is decorated with love and grace and mercy and kindness,
Mhm.
where people of faith, prayer, you know what I mean? So I feel like it's just a good time to talk about things that may have been more common and things that we took for granted. I
Mhm.
think in previous generations, now
Mhm.
this conversation needs to be had because somebody may be listening and watching, like, what y'all talking about? I
Yes.
live in such and such zip code. Well, you can live in such
Yes.
and such zip code, and you may have a house with an address with a key and a parking garage or a parking stall, but it may not be a home. You know what I mean? And furthermore, now that, our children are growing up, they're matriculating
Mhm.
through their own life. We now have had conversation of how we feel it's important to have a home that children and grandchildren can return to
Yes.
in the event of some unforeseen or unexpected challenge in their own
Or even if they
lives.
just desired to.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. So this whole thing of house is not a home. I mean, I feel like it's something that's very important. You know what I mean? Because I mean, life, especially in 2025, I mean, a
Mhm.
lot of life is being challenged right
Mhm.
now, on multiple fronts. So providing a safe environment, a loving environment that's nurturing, that's peaceful, that's encouraging, that's forgiving, I think is critical, up and through here. And I think this conversation can help some folks that are viewing and listening,
Mhm.
that are trying to build their lives or build their families or build their marriages or relationships.
And I really want you to unpack something that you started to say. And there's that conversation around generational attitudes
Mhm.
towards the home,
Yeah.
towards the concept of home, the concept of marriage, the concept of family and
Mhm.
togetherness, and those sorts of things. And when we think about our parents and our grandparents, that was a very different conversation, I
Yes.
think, generationally.
Yes.
There was this norm around it,
Yes.
there was custom around it. It
Mhm.
was what was celebrated, it was what was
Yes.
considered to
Yes.
be the nucleus.
Yes.
And now not so much. That paradigm
It's changing.
is changing and is flipping, and there is conversation
Mhm.
and no shade against Friendsgiving and, all of the things that, have kinda come from these decentralized
Mhm.
types of family structures, but that conversation is not what it used to be.
Correct.
And so talk about that transition, and we always have this Gen X perspective of being around these silent generation and boomers and getting to see them live and in action and being the parents and grandparents
Mhm.
of Gen Z and some are
Yeah.
grandparents of Gen Alpha and just seeing what it's like, with these younger people today.
Yeah, it it's a lot, because I feel like the generations that came after us, millennials, Gen Z, and even now, I guess alpha
Gen Alpha.
to a certain
Mm.
perspective,
Yes.
there was a period in there where this period of deconstruction was absolutely legitimate,
Mhm.
where people began to deconstruct systems and institutions that were wholeheartedly accepted. So that includes, the nuclear family, that includes higher education, that includes working on a job for 30 years and you
Sure.
can retire, that includes home ownership, that includes Christianity, and its institution, right? The institution thereof. So, I think people began to deconstruct. And as they deconstructed the family, I think a lot of ideologies and
Mhm.
POVs began to emerge. And I think that's part of where we're at now is that following the deconstruction, there are some ideologies that are very pressing in culture right now. And some of those ideologies are resisting people building homes.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? And this is not to call, anybody out, but, to listen to men like Nick Cannon
Mhm.
and Cam Newton strongly
Mhm.
defend their decisions as it pertains to family and having, so many kids, right,
Mhm.
without having a nuclear home or a nuclear family, it says something.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? It says something about where we're at. And I'm not picking on those two, but they
Sure.
just came to mind about, wow, where are we now? You know what I mean? It's like, and even we watched the podcast episode with Kirk Franklin,
Mhm.
The King's Table, I believe.
Yes.
And one of
Yes.
the brothers on there is in a poly marriage, and he's trying to defend, this poly arrangement,
Mhm.
and we're talking about making a house a home. And it's like, well, it's clear that, things have changed, right? And
Mhm.
I know in certain cultures and countries, you know, polyamorous is culturally acceptable.
Mhm.
But to get there here, there's been a clear deconstruction,
Yes.
and I feel like some deconstruction is good, but some is not because some of this deconstruction that has happened, there's a wake of people in its rear.
Mhm.
And some people are being harmed, they're being mistreated, they're being
Mhm.
neglected as we as a culture just figure it out or
Sure.
deconstruct. And then, the historians, a couple of generations down the road, they'll be able to look at this period of time and say,
Mhm.
wow, people went from, you know, the cookie cutter life as being aspirational to let me do my thing.
Sure.
And what's the aftermath of let me do my thing? What's
Mhm.
the aftermath of, hey, I want 8 houses, but I don't need no home. You
Yes.
know what I mean? I want, I'm cool with having 5 baby mamas if I could afford to pay for all the kids. You know what I mean? It's like, well, what's the aftermath of that? How will those children, how will they look at family and
Right.
responsibility and marriage because of how they were brought up? You know what I
Mhm.
mean? So it's a very deep, conversation. And like you and I say, it's like, you know, I feel like doing the simple things is now very important. You know what I mean? It's
Mhm.
like even this conversation, that was 1981. A
Sure.
house is not a home.
Sure.
We 2025, we said,
Sure.
please make your house a home. I don't care if got the Versace pillows on your couch or not. You could run over there to IKEA
Yes.
and get some throw pillows for
Yes.
$8.99. I would rather
IKEA, that's
see
right. Stop playing.
I
IKEA.
would rather see
Yes.
some $8.99 throw pillows
Yes.
in a home
Yes.
than some Versace throw pillows in a house.
Right. Right.
And I guess, for you, like when you think about this conversation of home, and we've moved around quite a bit,
Mhm.
I mean, we've lived in a lot of different residences, but you think about where we're at now, like this whole when you think about home now versus when you think about when we lived at, 1439 Carlson in Richmond, California, how has your thinking changed in that span of time?
When we lived in that physical space,
Mhm.
we were younger. We bought the house before we got married,
Mhm.
number 1.
Yeah.
So when we first signed on the home and bought the home, we still had that mentality, and you and I talked about that being one of the first struggles in our marriage about, well, we're just continuing our roommate journey,
Mhm.
right? So we had lived together for a number of years before we got married. uh, you and your good calculations and your engineering brain was like,
Mhm.
I don't want to spend this on a wedding and come home to an apartment. So let's
Yeah.
buy a house first and
Mhm.
let's go ahead and do that. And so at that time, really, really, it was focused on the physical structure,
Mhm.
meaning we need to get to a place we're out of college. We need to get to a place where we're got some security, got some stability, and really there wasn't a ton of thought into making sure when we came home to that place that it was a place we desired to come home
Mhm.
to.
Yeah.
And I don't think that that changed so much until really we became parents and got older and had some of the challenges of life just kind of hit us. Because when you're young and you're idealistic and you've got some of that excitement, we talked in a previous episode about that excitement of the start
Yeah.
and that excitement of just kind of being in a place for the first time. Um, you're not focused in on things that are as important.
Yeah.
And then over time, when it's, you know, I've had some really hard days out there. And I've had some really challenging things happen in my corporate space. Um, I'm having some real big challenges just in my maturation process, growing up, becoming the man and woman that we ultimately, became. And I need to be able to come here
That's good. That's
and
good.
have conversations and have a level of vulnerability, like I said, and be able to be safe here. And I need you to understand how important that is. Because we were, again, young and living together and kind of doing that stuff for so long. I think it took us a while to get to the point where we understood that, you know what, let me hold my tongue for just a moment because Rufus has had like a day. And so this is not the time to pile on because he's had a day. And if I'm having moments, you'll just, you know, kind of leave space for that or leave space for the conversation or um, lock in, with the conversation if need be. And I don't think that we quite understood the importance and the value of that until that time passed. Um, because now we fully get it. Like
Yeah.
now it's a full light bulb moment. Like
Hey,
when I come home, I don't
hey,
need to bring that
turn that
here.
diffuser on and
Yes.
absolutely.
Yes. And I don't I'm having a hard time pinpointing what change, maybe you can, but I don't know what that click was other than age, time, maturation, all those things, because it became very clear over time. And I think the world just doing what it does and life just life and changed that dynamic. But it became very clear over time that no,
Yeah.
when we are here, and I won't give our address, but we very good for giving our address. Like, you know what? That ain't gonna happen at blah blah blah. Fill in the blank on your street.
Yeah.
That ain't gonna happen on my block. I'll say it like that. You know what? That happened over there. But when I come to my block, so we have even changed our vernacular
That's true.
to talk about what happens in our house
Yeah.
in a very unique and specific way. And that wasn't always. When do you remember that click? Because I was trying to I was really trying to pinpoint the time, but when do you remember that click?
And this is me spitballing.
Yes.
I think, you know, there was a shift where when we were younger in our marriage, we were really reaching for the next house.
Yes.
We were
100%.
I'm going after it. I want more square footage. I want
Yes.
this. I want a better zip code, blah,
I
blah,
want it
blah.
all.
And then I
Yes.
feel like when we got here, we had lost. You got to think about it. We had a
Yes.
better appreciation
Yes.
of this home because of
Yes.
what we had previously lost.
Yes.
So I think, and
And
yeah,
and
there was,
for folks that's going through a short sale
yeah,
and
eh,
we had a home built in the Bay Area
yeah,
that we thought was gonna be our forever home, and
yeah.
that housing crisis hit
In
us like it hit a lot of
2008,
like
in
it hit a lot of people.
2008,
Yeah.
we had to
Yeah.
pack up the dream
Yep.
house and
Yep.
sell the income property.
Yep.
And so I think when we got here, we had a better appreciation
Yes.
of having a house that we want to make a home. And then I feel like we really settled in here. And we still look at houses to this day.
Yes.
Tonight before we go to because I'll probably get on
You sent me
Zillow
2 listings
and
already today. Yeah.
exactly. So but
Yes.
I don't think we have a level of discontentment, and an willingness to force it,
Yes.
because we do appreciate where we're at. We
Yes.
appreciate our neighbors. We appreciate how central we are to LA. We can get, anywhere in the city quickly.
Yes.
And we appreciate that God blessed us,
Mhm.
with this home after experiencing loss. You know what I mean? So I think as that's what comes to mind for me of
Mhm.
when the shift was, and even, the last kind of decor change, it's like, you know what?
Yeah.
Let's, let's take some of this suburban furniture, that don't fit well, and let's get it right.
Yes.
Let's get it comfortable. You know what I mean? So I think something shifted.
Mhm.
And then, even I think to take it a step further, with, our older daughter's friends who are here away from their homes, having them be able to come over and sit down in the living room just for an hour
Yes.
or two
Yes.
and be comfortable.
Yes.
It's not about the furniture, but it's just about, man, I could just chill. I can just relax. I can
And have a bit of
share
a
my
home away
heart,
from home. Yeah.
get some, get some wisdom, from Jamila's mom or what have you. I mean, that matters. I think, you know what I mean? So I feel like we have changed, you know? I
Mhm.
think that's what the click was. We mature, we click, we, you know, are trying to, you know, appreciate where God has us instead of saying,
Mhm.
"Oh, you know, I wanna move to," you know, yeah, I'm believing God that, yeah, we will, you know, acquire additional properties, you know, in the future,
Mhm.
but the home, we I think we came to the realization how important it is, not only for us, but for our children
Mhm.
and other family.
Mhm. And I think that's a big thing in Rufus. Thank you for so many things are coming back to my remembrance about that time in particular in what some of the differences between what you feel like is a house and what you feel like is
Mhm.
a home.
Yeah.
And for many of those years, as you described, there was this discontentment.
Mhm.
We had been blessed. We had bought our first home in 2000, the year before we got married in
Yeah.
'01, and we had been homeowners several times over, but it was always that next. And in fact, many of our homes, we didn't even furnish them, right? Like we had empty rooms and rooms with half furniture and, all of these things because we were
Mhm.
always,
Yeah.
kind of grappling for what was next. And I'm so glad you mentioned that again. And then when God said, now remember we had to talk about this house in Benicia that was short sold because when we bought the house,
Mhm.
it was a home that we had built from the ground. It was more square footage than we, had ever amassed up until that point.
Yeah.
It was in the neighborhood
With
with
the
the
good
school
school, with
districts,
the
with the
good
good
school.
schools. So you pick your city, that city with
Parks,
the
all
with
that,
the, with
yeah.
the good schools, with the parks, with the tree lined streets, and you go downtown on First Street, and they have the
Yeah.
tree lighting and
Yeah. All
the
of
hot
that.
chocolate
Hot
and
chocolate,
all the
yeah.
things. Right? It was one of those
Mhm.
neighborhoods. It was one of those experiences, and we bought that house.
Mhm.
I was in between jobs, and I think you were starting a new contract. I think we were
Mhm.
both, like, literally when we signed
I think I was
on that
transitioning
house, you were
to a new job,
transitioning to a new
yeah.
job, and I was out of work. I
Yeah.
was transitioning away from a job
Yeah.
and started a new job. If we signed at the end of the year, I didn't
Mhm.
start a new job until
Yeah.
February.
Exactly.
So that was one of those moments, and I'm taking a bit of a detour here, but we were just thanking God, like,
Mhm.
"Look what you have done.
That's
Look what you have done.
ain't nobody
You
did
have
it.
given us this house."
Yeah.
And, oh, don't get me started on my Rojo Alicante floors. I had picked out
Mhm.
these floors with this beautiful, like, reddish tile in the
Mhm.
bathroom. I, picked out everything at the design center, the flooring, the floorboards, the
Couldn't tell us
baseboard. You
nothing. Couldn't
baby,
tell us nothing.
couldn't tell us nothing. And then we were in that home
Mhm.
for about 3 years or so,
Mhm.
and then the market tanked.
Mhm.
And I tell anybody, if you buy something for $1 and have to sell it for 50 cents, you still sell
Mhm.
it for 50 cents. I don't care how much it costs. I won't get
Yeah.
into the money. But the houses started selling for 50 cents. So we bought our
Mhm.
house for $1. They started selling for 50 cents.
Oh,
And we said,
man.
now wait a minute,
Yeah.
in the development. We was calling Countrywide have filed for bankruptcy, and then they wouldn't pick up our phone call.
Yeah.
Like, how you get a bailout from the
Yeah.
government and you won't pick up my phone? Come on, Countrywide. Y'all know what I'm saying. I ain't making it up. And so we ended up short selling that home out of obedience because it's not that our income shifted or something happened, but it was like, you know what? You all can keep sinking money into this house for
Mhm.
many years to come, and it will not go from being 50 cents back to $1 in a reasonable enough amount of time for you to be able to recoup or for this to make
Yeah.
business sense or for it to
Mhm.
financially map out for you all. So you need to walk away. One of the hardest things,
Mhm. Mhm.
one of the hardest things. And it took
Yeah.
us years to recover emotionally.
Yeah.
Um, Even though financially it was um, a financial decision, it was not a financial hit, but it took us a while to be
Yeah.
able to do that. And so, because we had made that decision when we went to purchase this home, it was like, that level of gratitude just hit so different. And understanding what truly meant to be a home just hit
Yeah,
totally
for
different
sure.
because it was like, oh, we've been there, done that. If we wanted to, we could. But what makes sense
Yeah,
and what's going to make us comfortable
yeah,
and what's going to give us the ability not to be house poor and to be able to
yeah,
support all of our children's endeavors and the things that
yeah,
we want to do. Um, and that took some of that burden off of it as
yeah,
well.
yeah.
And it really was in that moment, for sure, that was such a game changer.
Mhm.
Um, but it took us a while. It
Yeah,
took us a
it
while.
did.
But I do want to ask you, Rufus, because you were talking earlier about asking me what it takes to describe um, a home. But for you, what are some of the things that get in the way of a home being a home?
Yeah, I think, number one, um, peace not being in a house, I think that's just a recipe for a home not being a home, be it strife, be it arguments, be it frustration, be it disappointment. I feel like when the people that live in the house are not in agreement, it
Mhm.
it throws off the home.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? That synergy, but that peace, right? I think that is critical. And even if a person lives alone,
Mhm.
if a person is conflicted, within themselves, discontent or depressed, angry, etc., it throws off, the peace. So I feel like peace is definitely a barometer,
Mm.
for seeing, is this a home? You know what I mean? So I think that's number one. And then, you go further to say, okay, well, what are enemies of peace? I mean, it could be,
Sure.
like I just mentioned, all the stuff, the strife, the arguments, and I think sometimes, you know, when families and couples don't know how to communicate fairly with each other, they say things, I think, that can haunt their relationships. You close that door
Mhm.
and people start communicating in an out of bounds manner, those words just don't die immediately. You know what I mean? So again, then you're in this home with these arguments that are,
Yes.
that are just hanging out. You know what I mean? And that could be challenging.
Mm.
So I think, the words we use, you know, how we handle one another,
Mm.
seeking peace and, like you say, refuge,
Mhm.
seeking, sanctuary at the house is critical. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
It is critical because, again, the home should be a place where you can be replenished, you can be restored, you can rest.
Mm.
You can kick your feet up, you can be yourself. That's
Mhm.
another thing is I feel like when people come home and they feel like they gotta act or perform for the other,
Yeah.
that can throw the whole thing off
Yes.
because then they're gonna start seeking refuge outside of the house.
Yes.
It's like, and I've heard people, some, men, they say, "Man, I'll sit in that driveway,
Hmm.
for an extended period of time. I'm just trying to get my mind right. I'm trying to, because I know when I hit the door,
I gotta hit
it's
showtime
yeah,
again.
it's gonna be 10,000, you know what I
Hmm.
mean? I remember Steve Harvey, he was testified about that, about, I think his first marriage or second marriage,
Mm.
that he used to sit out in the driveway a couple
Mhm.
hours, because he felt like, I'm about to go into hell, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
So I think it's important for families to identify what this thing should be. And
Sure.
sometimes we do premarital counseling, we ask
Yes.
about, tell us about your vision or understanding of marriage
Mhm.
and family.
Mhm.
And, some people, they got the right image and some folks don't,
Mhm.
you know, but yeah, but that performance thing, that can
Yes.
get played out very, very
Yes.
quickly.
And this conversation around, can someone follow you home?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so one of the things that I think disturbs the peace at home is when your public persona and your
Mm,
private
Jesus.
persona don't match up.
And I know that's big for you.
Oh,
You
huge.
don't like that at
Oh,
all. You
huge.
don't like that at
Huge.
all.
Huge.
Ah,
Don't get me started.
yeah, yeah,
But
literally.
but that is huge because there are people that project themselves
Yes.
a certain way,
Yes.
that they are loving, that they are kind, that they are considerate. They might demonstrate those
Yeah.
characteristics when in public or in front of an audience, so to speak. Even if they're in their own home, if there are people there and there's an audience, speaking of performance, right? If there
Yeah.
is an audience of any sort, there's this one persona,
Mhm.
but then and there's the same behind closed doors.
Yeah. It's going down.
It's going down. It's a different persona. And so I think just having that congruency between who you are and how you demonstrate your integrity, your values, all those things externally, having that be who you are
Yeah.
when nobody's looking and when you're not going to be rewarded or celebrated for
Mhm.
it is a huge thing. It's a big thing.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
finding a final word for
Yeah.
us on this. Um, this was a subject matter that was important to you to bring to the table. You talk to so many men in
Mhm.
particular, and not that this isn't a conversation for women because I think it is, but who gets the rap, who gets the bad rap, so to speak, about not making a house a home is
Mhm.
sometimes men's criticism,
Mhm.
concern about women. And
Mm.
so I wanted you just from a final perspective to talk about maybe some of those conversations you have with the brethren around.
You want me
Don't
to
name no
drop
brethren.
down? You want
Don't
me to drop
nope.
down?
Don't you name no
Come
names.
on
Don't you
now.
wing. Don't you
Yeah.
give no initials. Don't you do none of
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
But there's conversations that men have
Yes. Yes. There are. There are. There are.
about peace and
Yes.
about a house becoming a home.
Mhm.
So let the ladies in a little bit as a final word.
Yeah, I would say, some of the conversations that I've had, with men that are unmarried, um, and I guess some men that are married, but more specifically the men that are unmarried, as they're trying to identify the right woman,
Mhm.
I do bring up, because, n- a lot of folks are thinking in all these dimensions and what they
Yes.
look like and how much money they make. And I always like to put on the table, who can make your house a home? I mean, I've
Yes.
literally brought that, because when you think about the importance of that, the home will nurture the children that will eventually be born in that home. Secondly, the home will also nurture the potential that lies within. You know what I mean? And a lot of men that I talk to, they have so many aspirations, they have so many
Mhm.
goals. They want to become movers and shakers. And I'm like, oh, that's fine. You get with the right woman and you guys make the right home, the sky is literally the limit.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And I think some of that's being lost in this conversation.
Mhm.
In these conversations, and even some successful men, when you listen to them, you can hear immaturity.
Mhm.
Back to the gentleman I mentioned earlier, highly successful, highly wealthy,
Mhm.
brands and multiple platforms, but when you
Absolutely.
listen to them, you hear immaturity.
Mhm.
And some of that immaturity is reflective of avoiding the accountability and the responsibility of building a home.
Mhm.
No cap.
Yes.
That's straight no tracer,
Yes.
and sometimes men, I try and help them understand that some women the right woman will come into your life and they will place a demand on you to become all that you should become.
Mhm.
You
Mhm.
know, and sometimes we think it's nagging or we think this, that, and the other. And it's like, well, if you weren't in this relationship and
Mhm.
negotiating this relationship, would you demand this of yourself? Some men do. Some men
Sure.
highly disciplined, but
Sure.
some are not. They would
Yes.
be like, it's amusement park, you know,
Yes.
Call of Duty or whatever game,
Yes.
got their headphones on.
Yes.
I'm gonna just play my game,
Yes.
go to work and make my money, and then that's their life.
Yes.
You know, you got a grown boy, you
Mhm.
know, with some money, you know. So I think so that's part of the conversation that I have, you know, with some men about, man, your path to maturation, your
Mhm.
path to greatness, your path to significance is gonna come. It can come this way,
Yes.
you know. Um, because you know, the inverse of that is, you know, some men are looking at this thing like, man, it's a bad contract.
Hmm.
I mean, literally.
Yeah.
Marriage is a
Yeah.
bad contract.
Yeah.
If I crap out, you could take half of what I got.
Hmm.
And it's gonna take me X amount of years to recover to where I was pre-divorce. You know, so some brothers is like, man, forget all that. You know, especially when you hear some of these ideologies coming out of, you know, some of the women camps. They're like,
Yes.
what? You know, you can't date a man that got a 9 to 5. You know, it's like,
Sure.
but to answer your question, and I hope that did, those are some of the private conversations that I have with men.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
And for all of us, I think the underlying portion is peace,
Mhm.
a place of vulnerability,
Yes.
a place of open communication,
Yes.
and not about the walls, the structure, the stuff in it, but really about the people and about the relationship and about the love that's there.
Absolutely.
That's the
Absolutely.
main thing. That's the main thing.
Absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, thank y'all for tuning in to this very special conversation from our home.
Yes. Do,
Talking
do, do,
about
do,
the house is not a
do.
hole.
Yes.
Shout out to the memory of Luther Vandross.
Shout out.
And if y'all did not see that documentary
Yes,
on
on
Luther
CNN.
Vandross,
On
I
CNN.
think it's on the streaming platforms
Oh,
now.
is it now?
It's amazing, amazing documentary
Yes.
that honored him and his
Yes.
and his
Never too
legacy.
much.
Never too much. That's what it's
Yes.
called. Never too much. But with that, we're going to sign off. We're going to thank you once again for viewing and listening with us today. As always, hit the like button, hit the share button, hit the subscribe button, drop a comment. Send us a note if you want us to unpack or discuss a particular topic.
Yes.
Please let us know. We would love to take it into consideration. And if you think you know who would be the best, perfect first or second
Yes.
guest that either Jamila or myself or both of us interview together, let us know. We would
Yes.
love to hear from you. So with that, we're going to sign off from the house, from our home,
From
and we'll see you
home.
again real soon. God bless.
This episode of With Love, the Chambers is proudly sponsored by the Watts of Power Foundation, where passion and purpose come together to empower the next generation. In the heart of Los Angeles, one foundation is changing the future of education. The Watts of Power Foundation, founded by Dr. Peter Watts Jr., is on a mission to raise up the next generation of Black male educators, building strong teachers, strong families, and strong communities. Through mentorship, housing, and holistic support, Watts of Power is lighting the path toward equity in education. Visit wattsofpowerfoundation.org to learn how you can help power the change. The Watts of Power Foundation, where teaching meets transformation. A big thank you to Watts of Power for supporting this episode of With Love, the Chambers.
That's a wrap for today's episode of With Love, the Chambers.
We hope you laughed, learned, and felt encouraged along the way.
If you enjoyed this conversation, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share with someone who needs a little love and wisdom today.
You can also connect with us online on all social media platforms at Rufus Chambers Online and at Jamila Chambers. We'd love to hear from you.
Until next time,
Keep living, keep laughing, and keep learning with love, the Chambers.